What's going on, guys? So I'm here to talk about Sonic Comics as a TV series. So of course we've had plenty of Sonic adaptations. We had, Sat AM, we had AOTS, we had Sonic X, we had Sonic Underground, Sonic Boom. We've had a lot of Sonic adaptations to TV, and of course now we have the movie universe as well. But it's always weird to me how the Archie comics were around, but there was nothing done with them outside of that. They didn't make TV series off of it, movies off of it. One of the problems I have with the games, which I don't have with the movies because they do a better job explaining it, is the movies add lore to the universe. You know what I mean? So, Sonic comes from a different universe, Knuckles comes from a different universe, Tails comes from a different planet, or at least somewhere on another planet in that universe. Shadow comes from our dimension or universe, but he comes from somewhere from space. So that could also link him back to Sonic's universe, or he could just totally, they could go with like an explanation of Gerald saw something and went through a portal, something like that, kind of like how Eggman met Knuckles, right? They add lore to the universe. You know what I mean? They add history. The Sonic movies and Sonic X are pretty much just isekais. It always kind of, annoyed me in the game that there's no real lore there. And I get this is the kind of series you don't really need it necessarily, but it's like people were conceptualizing that Silver was like the grandson of Shadow, and people were saying, oh yeah, well, since Sonic is an Iblis trigger and Iblis means Satan, and he was probably spawned and he's a demon, that's why he has no relatives. And it was just kind of that. It was just like there really is no lore explanation for anything really in this series until we get to like Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Frontiers and stuff like that. So it's just like, and of course now with the whole Ken Pender stuff, this is probably going to be infinitely harder and pretty much impossible. But like back then, why not just adapt this as a series? You had the original comics before like the redesign, and they all got their green eyes and everything like that. Then you have, of course, the Return to Angel Island series and the Knuckles mini series, and Tails and his lore and all this other stuff. So it's just like, why was this never adapted? It's just when you have such a rich format and such a rich thing to pull from, because not only did you have the original Archie comics and their main story, you had Mobius 25 years later. You had like that little mini story with the Zone Cop where Tails became Titan Tails. You have a plethora of villains that you could do more with, like Mammoth Mogul and Ixis Naugus. You had the whole kingdom of Acorn, all that, Dr. Finitivis. You had all this amazing stuff that you could pull from. Nothing was ever really done with it, and it's just, of course, maybe there were legal rights and stuff like that, but nothing was ever done with it. And now we have the IDW comics, which, has some of the same writers, and it's just as good, if not better than the Archie comics. You got the Metal Virus arc, you got Eggman turning good and everything like that. You got Surge and Kit. You have, again, you just have so much more lore and stuff to pull from. Why not adapt this? And, this series is already well into its run. It's not like you're just trying to adapt 10 or 15 issues. It's well into its run. All these characters are established, all these arcs. You have Mighty, you got Ray, you got Mighty's sister. You just have all these different concepts. Like Neo Metal Sonic got a super form in the IDW series. Why are we not doing it? Is it a legal issue? Is because now the movies are popular, so they don't want to focus too much on another series? Is it because the comics are like in some kind of weird legal kind of limbo thing? I don't know, but it's just, I feel like it's being wasted. Like, why not adapt this rich story, this rich planet, all these rich characters, these rich lore filled stories, all these new interesting characters, and just leave them on the page? I don't understand that. It's kind of turning like a rant video, kind of, but they should definitely adapt the IDW comics for television, or even just, you could make like a open world IDW Sonic game. Like, make it not necessarily like an MMORPG, but just like an open world, just concept. Go do missions based on the comic stories, and then you like progress and unlock characters like Surge and Kid after you go through their stories, and you know, we can go the progression of them becoming like sort of heroes after they were villains and getting over the brainwashing and, you know, imposter syndrome and all the other stuff. You really could do a lot with these stories, and it's just not getting done, you know. I don't know. There's just a lot of untapped potential there that I think they could really do more with and do a lot with. So, like I said, I don't know why that's not happening. Maybe it's just not the focus. Maybe they're just trying to get, you know, Sonic back in good graces, I guess, which you already done with 3 movies and Sonic X Shadow Generation. So, I don't know. Maybe one day, maybe not. But you guys like this video? Like, comment, subscribe, and thank y'all for watching.